Prema,
Hello, I'm your host Enzo Mecca,
And I'm your co-host Isabel Sayed.
and today we're in Duvernay, Quebec to interview Lea Longo, who is a meditation and transformational life coach and a mantra singer. Welcome, Lea.
Well,
Hello, namaste.
Namaste, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Good, good. So Lea, you had a promising music career, and I understand in 2006 you traveled to India and things changed. You said something to the effect that yoga mantra changed your life. What do you mean by that?
Wow.
What did you get from it?
Up close and personal, right? It's great, we all have to share our stories eventually, huh? So as the famous quote, life is a journey, it's a really quote that we all can we relate to. We all go through our own trials and tribulations of life.
Don't we?
Yep, and I call them the 3 Ds. So for me, it was depression, was actually postpartum depression, and then which led to a really complicated divorce, and then I had to witness also death and disease of a parent, all in the last decade. And as you know, I've been doing a lot of work in the last decade as well, and the one thing that really kept me really in a neutral zone was the mantra yoga, because I was doing always the events and chanting and meditating, and I was able to stay in a really neutral zone, and when something would happen I would go back and try to change my vibration, and it all happened with yoga and mantra yoga.
Wow. Yeah, I find that every time there's a death in the family, it makes us wonder who we are, how we fit in. It's almost like we have to recalibrate.
Absolutely.
We question our identity. Who am I without this person?
Well, ever since the death of my father, I realized, my God, life is really short, you know, to live to, I mean, he lived till 79, but it's also a short time to be here on earth. And so, you know, I realized that a lot of us are really running after insignificant details, which led me to become a certified life coach right after.
I'm interested actually in, I love the stories of, you know, how did you meet your partner? Well, how did you meet mantra yoga? How did this enter your life?
Well, it was by accident. I visited India, and as you said, in 2006, it was a yoga retreat. And it was funny because the teacher at the time, when I called her up, I had no idea of yoga. I was of yoga chanting, that is, I was practicing Iyengar, different types of yoga. And so I called her up and I had said, hi, you know, I'm interested in finding my yoga. I do a little bit of Iyengar, but I'm also a pop singer. And so she said, no, there's no place for the ego here. We sit down and chant, because she told me we use music and sound. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. I'm a pop singer. And she almost didn't want me to go. And so I was so curious. I said, no, I'm coming. And she probably charged me double. And so that's how I discovered chanting at this yoga retreat in India, in southern India. And so I just freaked out, because I was hooked with the mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Svaha, the one we listened to earlier, and it's a healing mantra. And after 2 days of continuous chanting, I just started crying, and something happened, and I felt this deep connection to sound and music, a connection that I've never felt, not even with my own texts, because being a songwriter, I write my own lyrics, I have a connection to my stories, but the mantra itself had this deep connection to me, and I just really realized that there's some really deep connection here, something deeper that I don't know, and I need to study and dive deeper in it. So when I came back to Montreal, I studied mantra yoga, and I became a Kundalini yoga instructor, and this is what, you know, happened in the journey of healing and chanting and the rest is history. Kirtan community. And,
That sounds
Yeah.
really intense, this chanting retreat that you went to. So I think we can picture what happens at a meditation retreat.
Mhm.
So chanting, you're chanting for the most of the day, or for how
Mhm.
long?
we would wake up early in the morning, and we would start. We do a silent meditation, and then we slowly started going into different chants, and then we would do some vocalizing, and then we would. She would. There was a master from India where there would be different. Drupad singers and different master singers. It takes them 10 years to become a master in yoga, and so they would come in and just divine devotional chanting and teach us the Saregama, which is the Indian mode, and then we did a whole week of this.
The Indian mode, you said?
Yes,
which is
the Indian mode. They have different modes, modality. In Western music, we deal with harmonics, and in Indian music, it's more melodic. And so we were learning the scale. There's lots of scales, and so it's so funny because in India, I remember when they would sing, I thought they were off because the little microtones are actually very effective in for our body and chanting. But in the Western world, when you sing in between the notes, you're actually dissonant and off.
right.
And so I thought they were off, and then eventually I slowly surrendered, to the actual music and studied more. And
It sounds like a real meditation because you're really transcending the ego, right? Like you're it's just the way that we do in meditation with our thoughts, but through the chanting, you're even having these thoughts, the judgment, the questioning, the
oh yeah, I thought everybody was high on that retreat. I thought these people are for sure on drugs. They're way too happy for me.
So were you the kind of person prior to this whose mind would never stop? Like, did you have a hard time meditating, for example?
Absolutely. That's why I think meditation is for anybody, because if I learned to meditate, Enzo, I come from an Italian family. The mind is very active, very loud, very dynamic people, and lovingly passionate. And sometimes it's hard to quieten the mind. And so with the mantras and the meditation, it just lowered all the vibration.
And so I'm curious, speaking of that then, I know some friends and some people who, like you say, you're describing them, people who have a really active mind and who need to move and produce and go, and who just feel like, nah, meditation's not for me. But what I'm hearing from you is that you believe that really anyone can meditate. So when you get someone who's very skeptical who comes to see you in coaching, what do you find works or tends to work? Or
I go find the reason why they're resisting it.
right, okay.
And often it comes from a belief system, and a lot of times it's derived from parents thinking you have to produce and you have to do more and do more physical and do instead of the being and the feeling, and really creating a space where taking 2 steps back and really in realizing what exactly you want to accomplish before going and manifesting that. And so when somebody's way too fast and way too quick, it often is I think, is also a result from a core belief from the past. So once we go analyze where that block is, if it's something they want to change, because some people are happy being that way until something happens to them, and then they realize I'm going too fast, like a health issue. And so at that point is when we look at where the belief is, where it lies, and we the client will discover it. I just point the client to the right direction, and then after we work with the exercise and the tools that I've used, and I.
So Lea, I understand you perform throughout Canada and abroad. Can you give us any highlights of certain festivals or specific locations that you experienced, that you performed at?
Sure. Well, in one of my favorite places that I really experienced a really wonderful, experience chanting was at Bhakti Fest in California. It's a whole festival of kirtan artists and yoga teachers, and it's I believe 4 to a week long.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 days. And it's funny because it was the one of the influencing factors for me when I came back to actually start Montreal Chant Fest, which now is called Zen Fest. So Bhakti Fest, I did perform once there, and it was really, really amazing. But I have to admit, Enzo, one of my biggest, most, delightful moments was when I was on stage with Deva Premal and Mitten.
Oh,
That was
amazing.
really, it was a short performance, it was just one song, but it was a journey. It was beautiful, and I just was totally in bliss being with them on stage and offering my voice. And
Do you have a
singing.
clip of that?
Of
Yeah,
course I
we
do.
have to see that.
Yes. So that was one of my pinpoint highlights
Excellent.
of my chanting.
Wonderful. Nice
And-
experience.
So I'm just curious, so that's like super exciting and glamorous and awesome, and then how do you then take chanting and the mantras and meditation, how do you combine that the music and meditation in your coaching, like, on a very micro level, one-on-one?
It's the same thing, either if you're singing for thousands of people or if you're chanting for one person. For me, it's of course I feel the energy of when there's many people, thousands of people. However, the blissful factor of what happens when we chant together, and when even in my clients' faces, is ultimate ecstasy. I mean, there's no difference if there's one person or many people. When we do kirtans as well, it's the same thing. That's why I always trust that whoever shows up, and it's perfectly fine.
Right.
Yeah, the after the journey of chanting and the after effect is it's very hooky.
So, and how is that
It's addictive.
I believe it, and I've actually come to one of your kirtans many years ago, and it's really like you get into this trance, and it's juicy, and it's very meditative. And I'm just curious, how do you introduce that in a coaching session? Is this something that would you spend a whole session on the chanting, or is there still some like talking
Is
happening?
it organic, maybe?
Yeah, it's very organic. So what I do is I feel people. I kind of ask them a lot of questions in our first session together, and I see where they are and what modality they would like to use, if they're either auditory or visual or just want to hear more things. So I assess that right at the very beginning of our session, and then if they are open to music or sound, then I will use the mantras and the music in the session. So it really comes from the client. There's one client that we do no music, and we strictly do Kundalini yoga.
Wow.
and some meditation, and some clients I just use English affirmations, because maybe they feel it's too woo-woo, and that's fine. Wherever you are in your path is perfectly fine with me. There's no judgment, there's nothing. I take you on the journey of where you are, and hopefully bring you to another place a little higher.
Can you tell us what Infinite Joy Now life coaching program is all about?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for asking. So Infinite Joy Now is basically a blend of my transformational life coaching, where I use some tools and techniques, and also the meditations and the breathing at the end, and also a blend of my online program, which is 12 Steps to Transformation with the Art of Meditation and Mantra, where for some clients, where if they can't come and see me on a weekly basis, I offer them a program where they can come every other week, and then the other week they can use the online program. There's 12 sessions, and what's interesting about the program is that it's based on 3 modalities. We use the intellectual, which is the theme discussion, and then we have the audiovisual, which is the guided meditation and the mantra. And then on the mantra portion, there's a beautiful mandala, which is a visual. It's beautifully created by a visual artist by the name of Daniel. He's wonderful. And so if you happen to open your eyes, you'll see this beautiful mandala changing before you, and it's really hypnotic. So I offer that to those that we can do either 4 sessions straight up, back to back in a month, or for those that would like to, come every other week. It's a blend of both online and live here at Longo Lounge.
So conceivably you could have clients abroad.
Yeah, we can do online as well, live, and absolutely I do also online clients. Yeah.
Sounds like also having that online component can give people just a bit of more leeway or time to absorb, to practice, because life gets busy. And I'm sure that you must have encountered people who come on a weekly basis and after a week, like, oh, I didn't practice, or I didn't.
Yeah, for sure. And what I've noticed is that sometimes I have to remind them the importance of the 10 to 13 minute meditation, in the mornings, because that's what's going to tune you to change your thoughts and your vibrations. So the online program has the guided meditation. So if you don't have time, you could just forward to the guided meditation part, listen to me for like 12 minutes, we'll do it together anyway. And so then after you could go on with your day,
So for Lea, for people who want to, are really committed, January is coming up, they want to start a meditation practice. What's a simple exercise that you like to recommend or share with people?
I'm happy you asked. You can get a free guided meditation right on my site. It's the first session of my 12 steps to transformation with the art of meditation mantra. The first session is completely free. You just sign up on the website, my website, lealongo.com, and I'll guide you through how to heal emotions, and then the Omtare guided meditation and mantra.
Awesome. And I think that when we were talking earlier, you were mentioning that this online program, that it's also something that people can choose to do strictly online. Is that right?
Absolutely. You can register as a member. You can get one a month as a member, or you can just buy the program straight up, the 12 sessions on my website, lealongo.com.
Great.
Yeah.
And so you want people, if people wanted to reach you just through the website, or do you want to give an email address or phone number, or where do you want to direct you?
Well, it depends. LeaLongo.com will do. LeaLongo.com.
And do you have any upcoming albums?
Oh yes, absolutely. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. My new album is out. Is actually when you sign up as a member, you also get my new album, which is called Zen Experience, Guided Meditations and Mantra Journeys. And you get that as a free download when you become a member, a Zen member, on my website, lealongo.com.
Are there many other previous ones?
There's a couple of songs that were on my other albums, and then there's new material, new guided meditations, and mostly guided meditations are brand new and they're long, as per the request.
Excellent, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So Lea, thank you so much for having us in your lovely home.
And singing
Taking
for
the time.
us.
Yes, singing.
Namaste. Thank you.
And the espresso off camera.
Yeah. I'm Italian, can't take it out of me. Espresso.
So there you have it. Thank you for being there, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Namaste.
Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Svaha